This is Bazaar Morning Call, broadcasting live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studios in Mumbai.
Good morning. You're with us here on another fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. As always, it's a Wednesday morning and it's looking good out there. I'm Prashant, with me, my colleague Sonia and Survi. Guys, hi, morning.
Hi, good morning. And it's also the 9th International Yoga Day. Yes. And I think, for all of us, right, people who sit at their desks for long hours, yoga is so important just to keep yourself in shape. I've been practicing yoga for many years now, and I think that's the only reason why I'm kind of sane, both mentally and physically.
I just check myself. As long as I can do the chakrasan, I feel, okay, all is not lost. So till now, fingers crossed, it's happening till now. You never know with the passing years.
Sonia, sane and mentally, we'll be the judge of that. Well, those are visuals.
Not quite, really. So. But yeah, look at that. The world is celebrating Yoga Day.
I mean, as they say, yoga se hoga, right? I think so. It's a big one and internationally accepted, of course. I mean, ancient art, sort of, practice, which now, of course, has got international acceptance. And those are visuals coming in of leaders and yoga practitioners doing yoga around the country.
Today is going to be interesting, right? Because there is a yoga event. So far, Prime Minister Modi has been conducting a lot of these events in India. Yeah. It'll be the first time after many, many years that he'll be doing it abroad. He begins his US visit as well.
At the UN General Assembly. I mean, talk about destination yoga, right? It's really right up there.
Well, absolutely. And I think, will the markets do a little bit of yoga as well to reach out and touch those all-time highs? I think that's the other question.
You want to show us one asana that you like, perhaps the one that you...
Like this?
Maybe moving a little bit, to fix your back.
Well, markets at new highs, I'll do that'll be an asana. Anyway, I mean, the markets, by the way, are going to start on a softer kind of note. Yesterday was a tremendous day because you had the Nifty, which took support at last Thursday's low and staged a bounce back. By the way, it was almost two halves. Completely two different halves. From 10:30 when the market hit a low, 10:30 a.m. yesterday, when the market hit the day's low at about 860 or so. From that point on, you basically had a very slow and steady up move all the way till about 3 p.m. And then, I mean, it was almost as if a rocket took off, and between 3 and 3:30, all those gains of 60, 70 points that you see on the screen came through, all in the last 30 minutes of trade. So, dramatic turnaround of things. U.S. markets overnight are not providing too much by way of support this morning. So they've come back from a holiday. Monday was a holiday, but yesterday we were trading. The S&P 500 is down about 0.5% or so. We've got some data out of the U.S. which basically tells you that housing is super, super strong. I mean, month on month, you have the biggest month-on-month increase in housing starts since 2016. And I think right after a Fed pause, this will start to complicate things a little bit. We, by the way, will hear from Fed Chair Powell once again, but this time as he testifies before the U.S. Congress over the next 2 days, both Wednesday and Thursday. He'll be making comments, answering questions. There's a prepared testimony as well. So I think markets will be interested to know additional thoughts after what we saw last week. All right, now let's come back and look at the market here, right? So we got a nice bounce, nice pullback in the last 30 minutes of trade. But upside is clear, right? You need to reach out, make a new high, and then we'll see. If the market does it with gusto, with some exuberance, you kind of can project higher. But if this is a middling kind of market action, as we've been seeing, hesitating around the highs, we'll have to see. So instead of putting projections out on the higher side, I'd still like to go with supports on where you should be comfortable going in. So supports come in at 18,660. By the way, yesterday morning we said that the support will be the last Thursday's low, and the low of yesterday and Thursday's low was almost exactly similar. That's the number, 18,660, which I think is still important. The 20-day also has come up a little bit. That stands at about 18,610. So instead of chasing, watch the price action in the first hour or so, and then maybe around those levels if you get an opportunity, if you must, perhaps take long positions. Bank Nifty has closed around the 40-day exponential moving average, which is 43,710. There was an intraday breach and then we closed above it. So for the Nifty Bank, supports come in at that level, which is 43,710. And then yesterday's low, which is 43,346. Again, instead of trying to chase any move, if you get levels around here, I think you're better suited. I mean, it's even, I would say, forget the 40-day. If you get levels around yesterday's low, I think it'll be more favorable from a risk-reward point of view. Massive action in mid-caps and small-caps continues. There was a bit of a halt, but it kind of continues uninterrupted. It's a vast space, and the number of stocks which are participating with huge volumes is just something to see. And of course, I mean, Prime Minister Modi in the US markets will eye from geopolitics, etc. There'll be a lot to watch out for. But from a market perspective, the one sector which I think will watch for announcements is basically going to be defense ties, making in India, technology transfers and those kind of things. We've been reporting on this, and I think that remains the focus. Sonia.
Oh, absolutely. And, we're going to also talk to a lot of yoga gurus about their, not just their practice, but also their life lessons, right? So that's going to be interesting. I mean, a good day today. But give and take everything, as you said, today is going to be a very flat opening. The market, the SGX Nifty is suggesting a very, very quiet opening. So we'll see how it goes. Yesterday, the Nifty made an attempt to once again get back to that 18,800 mark. The Nifty, remember, give and take everything is just 70 points away from an all-time high. So we are virtually at those levels, but faltering a bit at higher levels. It's important to look at the group of stocks that are taking the markets there. So in the month gone by, the pharma stocks have come back in a big way. So whether it's Apollo Hospitals, which is up about 12% for the month, Dr. Reddy's is up 10% for the month. So new pockets are sort of making the Nifty get closer and closer to those lifetime highs. But as we were, as Prashant was also telling you, the global markets have been slightly on the weaker side. The Dow was down about 250 points overnight. FedEx was down about 3% after reporting weak numbers. So the earnings are not too great from that pocket. FIs in our own market have been selling in cash for 2 consecutive days now, and it's a large amount. Almost 3,000 crores has gone out from the Indian markets in 2 days from the FIIs. So there's definitely some caution on board at higher levels. Now, just a couple of things. Of course, Fed Chair's congressional testimony is something that Jerome Powell's testimony is something that will be watched very closely. Any indication of further rate hikes is something that the street will keep their eyes peeled out for. And apart from that, in our own markets, as I said, banks on one hand and a couple of other pockets like autos, pharma, etc. on the other hand, banks have been faltering, but on the flip side, plenty of action in so-called laggards that are coming back in a big way.
Yeah, that's been happening. In IT, I think, is a case in point, because we've seen that trickle buying come back into the IT sector. That's the one that was trying to fight for the bulls even yesterday. But all things put together, I was just looking at the extent of the ranging action, and like Prashant said, that's what I thought. Can the bulls actually do a yoga stretch and get out of this range, which is what they've not been able to do? In the last 17 sessions, we've been dithering around 350 to 400 kind of point band. So it's 18,500 roughly, or 550 on the downside, to about 18,850 on the upside, and there's been no break. So the silver lining is that we're not really alone. We are up just about, if you look at the last 1 month, not just June, but the last 1 month data, Nifty is up 2.7%. Look at the other markets. Dow's up about 2%. The CAC is down 2.5%. Shanghai is down about 2.5%. Of course, the only outlier market is Japan. That's where the headlines are, the action is. That's where money managers are going. That's where Warren Buffett is putting his bets out as well. So that market, of course, has been stealing the thunder, 7.5% up in Japan in the last 1 month. But otherwise, most markets have been in a bit of a ranging zone. So that is some comfort that we're not the only ones out there, which is why the action perhaps is just going to remain on individual stocks. Prashant mentioned the defense space. We saw the defense rally on Monday. Let's see if we get some more leg up, because the announcements should start coming through tomorrow, actually. Today, Prime Minister Modi has been in New York. He's doing some meetings over there. He'll be at the UN General Assembly, like we told you. That's where the yoga action of the day is going to be. Pretty big moment, really, for India, for yoga, to be out there and spreading the word at the UNGA. But it's tomorrow onwards. That's when he's in D.C. He's doing the bilaterals, meeting President Biden and also meeting other CEOs. That's when the defense announcements should start trickling in. So let's see if there's some follow-through buying, just because of sentiment on these big stocks. Remember, HAL is in focus because of that big GE engine deal. Last but not the least, I mean, we're still searching for cues and triggers. So it's further commentary from the US chair, which we should get tonight as he's making the statement before the committee. And there's monsoons. The Met experts have been saying next 2-3 days we should see a revival in Maharashtra. No sign of that, at least in Mumbai as yet. But we're back to the mid-cap action. Today, there'll be some interesting stocks to track. I mean, we heard RVNL come out with some announcement on that big Vande Bharat train order, that some more block deals in focus, Piramal Enterprises for that matter. I think we'll just have to stick to looking at individual stocks for now.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm very, very keen. You know, as we were talking about how he's going to be performing, or rather conducting, Prime Minister Modi will be conducting yoga at the UN headquarters. 9 years ago, if you remember, he came out with this idea of celebrating 21st June as International Yoga Day. And since then, I mean, yoga has transcended not just the body and the mind, but all global barriers as well, right? Yep. I mean, it's a big, big moment. And I'm very interested to see what comes out of that.
All
okay,
right,
but yeah, let's begin the show. We have lots coming up in the next 2.5 hours. And first up, we have a comment from Mahesh Nandurkar of Jefferies, who says that the economic indicator for May saw a growth increase of 2 percentage points month-on-month to a 4-month high. He says several broad data points improved, such as fuel consumption, domestic eco-linked imports, and cement production. He adds that auto and property sales, registrations, electronic payments, and credit growth also demonstrated firm trends. Mahesh says while the trade deficit increased, the drop in inflation was sustained, though a weak start to the monsoon is a concern. He remains overweight on the domestic market.
Okay, well, on equities, we've got Sanjeev Prasad of Kotak Equities, who says that the strong performance of mid and small cap stocks in the past 2 months raises the prospect of irrational exuberance in the market and also further reduces the set of stocks with some value, which has struggled to find value in the market, with many stocks in their favored sectors like BFSI, capital goods, healthcare services, real estate having run up sharply in the past 1 or 2 months, leaving the BFSI sector perhaps as the only meaningful sector with any value.
Okay, so that's Sanjeev still holding out positive favor for the BFSI space at least. Let's move to the money markets and get you some views here. Kunal Sudhani of Shinhan Bank says the Chinese yuan continues to weaken, which has its reflection on the rupee as well. He says the dollar index is seen consolidating with 102.10 as a support, and the 10-year US Treasury yields have cooled off as well. He says all eyes remain on Fed Chair Powell's testimony, which is due today for further direction. For the USD-INR pair, Kunal says that 81.85 acts as a support, while 82.25 is a resistance.
Okay, and on the bonds, Neeraj Gambhir of Axis Bank says the 10-year benchmark bond yield traded in a range of 7 to 7.04% last week. He says global cues had a little effect on our market, which reeled under the pressure of the auction supply. He says demand remained muted, particularly in the longer tenor papers. Going forward, he adds the market will take cues from Bank of England's rate decision, US Fed Chair Powell's testimony, and the demand in weekly bond auctions. He expects the 10-year benchmark bond yield to trade in a range of 7.03 to 7.1% for the rest of the week.
Okay, and as we've been telling you, really the action is going to be on individual stocks, and there are plenty to track today. We'll talk about them in our top 10 segment in just a bit. Today we are looking at Shriram Finance, Piramal Enterprises, HDFC Life, RVNL, Shilpa Medicare, GR Infra Projects, Pidilite, Thyrocare, Jamna Auto, all these on the green side likely today. Some other stocks that we're looking at, actually none of them on the red side. Now that I look at the board, it's all 10. In all probability, may open up on the positive side.